All right, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to a We Read the Documents live stream. I am your host, John Brisson. Tonight, I'm going to play a clip and give commentary of Mike Adams from Natural News, speaking about his reversal of Rex 84 camps and FEMA camps and how they're actually a good thing under the Trump administration. Let us begin.
This is an emergency broadcast, counterthink.com. Mike Adams here, the Health Ranger. It is Sunday night, June 24th, I believe. And I apologize for my appearance. I'm a little sweaty. I've been working outside. America is facing an assault, an invasion. And if we don't get serious about this right now, we are going to lose our country. We're very close. We may be past the tipping point already. I'm not exactly sure. So I'm going to start this out by citing some facts. I'll just do some factual statements, some irrefutable facts, a series of statements. And then I'll talk about the interpretation, connecting the dots, and what those facts actually mean, and why we could lose America if we don't stop what's happening right now. So does that sound fair enough? I'll start with the facts, and then I'll let you know when I go into the interpretation. So let's start with some facts. So leftists, we'll use leftists and liberals synonymously here. Liberals, you could say, are verbally assaulting and shouting down Trump supporters and members of the Trump staff in public places, such as restaurants.
Okay, yes. Some people could say those situations were real. Some people could say those situations were staged. You can argue about that. But let's see where Mike Adams takes this.
Movie theaters, it could include other places as well. I mean, it absolutely will. But leftists believe that people who support Trump do not have the right to eat at a restaurant or engage in any other function in a public place.
That's not true. I mean, yeah, some people could be buttholes and interrupt somebody who's wearing a MAGA hat, It happens. But on average, that's not necessarily the case, Mike. I mean, maybe, yeah, if you went to downtown LA and ate at a restaurant, then possibly that could be what happens to you, that you may get confronted by a liberal. Or you may not.
That's a fact. Now, I'll come back to that in the interpretation. Leftists believe that America should have no borders whatsoever.
Not every progressive believes that, Mike. Many of them do, yes. Or not even that they believe that they should have borders, but America should be less stringent on the immigrants that it allows into the country. And I myself am against illegal immigration. But that's an extreme. You're talking extremes, Mike.
That no one should be stopped from entering the country. Leftists believe that the minute illegals come into the United States, they should be granted voting rights.
Not all progressives believe that. Now, granted, some progressives do, and that's an issue. I mean, with the right, you get gerrymandering. With the left, you get inflated voters through voting rolls. I mean, voting's rigged. I've had George from CavDev.org multiple times to explain it how it's rigged on both sides, okay? And most people who want their man in or their team in, they kind of overlook it. But, again, see how he's being so divisive with the left-right paradigm here? Leftists, 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 leftists.
Leftists believe that also the minute illegals come into the United States, they should start to receive welfare benefits, entitlements, free education, free health care, and so on. Leftists are now protesting ICE enforcement offices across the country. The protests are growing. and they want to abolish ICE, which of course stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Leftists want to shut down any enforcement of the United States border, especially the southern border. Leftists, they believe and they state that they think that Trump is actually Hitler. They now believe and state that people who support Trump are Nazis. They use this designation to justify the violence that they are carrying out against Trump supporters through acts of domestic terrorism carried out by groups, radical left-wing groups such as Antifa. Antifa has systematically and deliberately violently attacked Trump supporters, bashing them over the heads with bike locks, for example, felony assaults, and other types of assaults. Again, these are straight facts. This is not interpretation yet. These are things that are happening in America. Fact. The left-wing media is complicit in whipping up mass hysteria.
So I played the clip many times at the beginning. Okay, so what happens is, I guess to do a little bit of context, is the beginning of the show, Alex Jones talks about how he was deceived about Rex 84, which are internment camps or FEMA camps, that Oliver North had a big involvement in its planning, and the Council for National Policy as well knew about the Rex 84 internment program. So popular belief is that the Council for National Policy wanted to destabilize many Latin American countries, whether it was El Salvador or Nicaragua, and in doing so, there would have started a Latin American civil war. Okay? So we always believe, from what we've studied about Rex 84, was that those camps were for the dissidents, American dissidents of a Latin American civil war. You know, Americans that don't want no part of a Latin American civil war, just like they wanted no part of a Vietnam War. And that's where, you know, our parents, which have been parents at the time, you know, would have gone, you know, who protested those wars that the Council for National Policy wanted. Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush wanted down there in Latin America, which never came to fruition. So that's what Jones has been saying about for years, you know, Rex 84, FEMA camps, but not really go into an in-depth discussion as I have right there. Well, he comes on this broadcast and he says because of Mike Adams has got this new information, all right, that he's going to talk about here on this Counterthink episode, all right, within this InfoWars broadcast, that that was liberal propaganda, okay? It was liberal propaganda about the Rex 84 camps. And instead, they were for the illegal immigrants that the communists and the leftists were going to flood the United States with, because they were the ones that were trying to destabilize Latin America. And look, I'm not saying the USSR wasn't guilty in its own crimes in many of these countries as well. You know, it's kind of like a push and pull between America and the USSR at the time. Of course, some people could say it's all theater, the Cold War was all theater, that, you know, majority of the Democrats or Republicans at that time, or even today, are in bed with Russia. And I'm sympathetic to that theory. But the thing is when you look at the documentation, and you take Oliver North's testimony in front of Congress about Rex 84, what little was given, it was obviously the camps were for our parents. They were for our family members to be put into when the war broke out and people did not want to be part of another military-industrial complex war. They wouldn't have bought destabilization in Latin America. It took an attack on our soil at 9/11 as an inside job to the loss of life that happened then to get people angry and activated so they wouldn't go against the Middle East wars, you know, first being Afghanistan and the weapons of mass destruction lie later in Iraq. So Jones claims that he flipped because Mike Adams gave him information. Well, we're going to find out what that information is during this segment. Now, so far, it's just been Mike Adams stoking the flames of the left-right paradigm, saying the leftists and globalists have done everything. Okay. I mean, look, I'm no fan of globalism. I'm not a progressive, but he gave examples of the extreme of progressives acting out. And they do. People on the right act out too, And so let's continue and see, well, what groundbreaking information does Mike Adams have that completely dissolves everything we know about Rex 84, the Council for National Policy's involvement in Latin America, and Oliver North? What destroys Oliver North being a drug runner, a child trafficker and human trafficker, and a gun runner? Of course, remember, those weapons were brokered through Israel to Iran from the United States. But I digress.
Among leftists. Fact, the left-wing media is using fake news photographs in order to accomplish that goal. For example, that screaming, crying 2-year-old migrant girl photo has been revealed as a hoax. She was not separated from her mother. Her family was well off. They actually paid a coyote $6,000 to carry them across the border, to transport them. Coyotes are human traffickers. And that little girl was never separated from her mother. She was simply hungry, according to her own father, by the way. That photograph was used deceptively by the media in order to whip up mass hysteria using a false premise. Other photographs
the media does
by
that a
leftists
lot.
are also a hoax. For example, there's a very popular photograph of looks like a young child in a cage. It was a zoomed-in, cropped-in photo. It was actually the child of a parent in Texas who they had set up a cage in an indoor facility in order to protest border policies, and they put their own children in that cage, and then they took pictures of their own children, and then those pictures got shared by other people who said, look, children are being kept in cages by Trump. Okay? That's another fact, straight fact. Fact, President Obama separated parents from children. Fact.
And so has every
Democrats
president that enforced immigration
hope
laws.
to bring in as many illegals as possible so that they can win more elections, because people from impoverished nations and Central and South American nations tend to vote Democrat.
That's true.
That's a fact.
Well, some of them. Some of them are Catholic and vote conservative, but not in large quantities. Most of them are Cubans.
What we would consider to be adults, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, actually military-age men, that the New York Times in particular calls migrant children who were separated from their parents. Okay, I could probably think of a few more facts, but I think you get the picture. Now, let's go into interpretation. This is the important part. Interpretation. The United States of America is being attacked. The United States of America is being invaded, assaulted by foreign nationals who are being used as pawns.
Wait, who are these foreign nationals? Wait. Russia? Israel? The Vatican? The Swiss? Who? Oh, no, it's illegal immigrants. Okay, my bad.
By anti-American forces inside the United States, which includes the left-wing media that despises America, that hates democracy, that hates the outcome of the 2016 election.
Okay. Yeah, CNN, MSNBC News. Sure. Washington Post. Okay. Huffington Post. Sure. Okay.
And has been working feverishly to try to overthrow Trump. Interpretation. Left-wing politicians cannot win debates and arguments based on reason and historical facts and logic.
Every single leftist politician ever in the history of existence, Paul Wellstone, yeah, he wasn't that good. He wasn't that passionate. I'm no fan of Comrade Bernie, but a lot of people like Bernie. Now, I guess it's not on emotion. I guess it's all on emotion to Mike. None of it's on logic, and I guess some people could make that argument. But this is all this is left, right, the leftist, the left, globalist, left. That's all it is.
They have resorted to whipping up mass hysteria to have a shouting contest nationwide, because the only way they can get votes is to have people enraged and screaming and, frankly, driven almost to the point of insanity or mass mental illness with rage. Faux outrage, we might say. A lot of it, of course, is fake. A lot of it is engineered outrage. Interpretation. The left-wing media is complicit in this invasion of the United States of America. The left-wing media, as well as left-wing liberals, they believe that no nation should have borders. And
Not every liberal or progressive thinks that way. Now, granted, many of them, not many of them, possibly some of them do, but I don't think that they should think that no nation should have borders. I mean, some do. The extreme, yes, of course. But, I mean, I know quite a few liberals. I have a few liberal friends. They believe the continental United States should have borders. It's just that they believe that more immigrants should be allowed into this country, which I disagree with. Specifically legal immigrants. But still, I mean, I'm still waiting. It's been, how long have I been playing this chat? 10, 15 minutes? I'm still waiting to find out why Rex 84 wasn't for us or our ancestors or our parents. FEMA camps. I mean, he just repeated the same things over and over again. Like, come on, Mike. Like, I don't have all day, man. Like, I get it. Illegal immigration's a problem. Trust me. You don't have to tell me about this. And I'm pretty sure your listeners know this, too.
thus, they think that enforcing our borders here in the United States is somehow wrong. When, of course, every nation in the world enforces its borders, and in almost all cases, more strictly than the United States. I mean, just Mexico enforces its borders more than we do in America. Not to mention, Israel, which of course has more aggressive enforcement.
I guess Israel's allowed to enforce their borders, Mike. I guess they're allowed and we're not. Well, are you going to talk about that? You going to talk about Mexico allowing them to enforce their borders more? Nah, you would never touch on the Israel subject. Never, ever.
For lots of obvious reasons. This invasion of America is an act of war. And the left-wing media, with all of its actors, such as Rachel Maddow, fake crier, these actors are complicit in waging war against the United States of America. In my view, we should deploy military troops on the southern border of America. Because while we have posse comitatus, troops cannot be deployed domestically, because we don't want soldiers doing domestic police operations. We can defend our borders with the military. In fact, that action is specifically prescribed by the Constitution itself. It is the most proper role of the military. President Trump, in my opinion, should deploy U.S. troops on the border between the United States and Mexico, right there on the border. We should arrest and turn back every illegal immigrant who is trying to invade America. We can turn them back together without separating families, for example. If you show up, our military will detain you and will turn you back around and ship you off to where you came from. That is the policy that we need. It doesn't have to be a physical wall, it just has to be an enforcement wall enforced by the proper role.
All right, we're allowed to enforce our borders. It's well within our constitutional rights. I'm still waiting. What does this have to do with Rex 84 and being wrong? And I'm waiting, Mike. I mean, I got all day, man.
Of the United States military, because this is a military invasion of the United States that's taking place right now. It's a military invasion disguised as a migrant, refugee, undocumented immigrant type of inflow. It's actually an attempt to occupy and overthrow the United States of America by any means necessary. There are
Okay, what about
groups that are using the wave of illegal immigration to bring operatives into California, Arizona, New Mexico.
Okay, sure. I mean, yeah, that's an issue. But why haven't you mentioned any countries that may be facilitating the weakening of the United States? Israel, Vatican, Switzerland, Russia. Yeah, China. China too. Why? We're just not going to name any of those. Just make it ambiguous. It's George Soros and the liberals' fault. It's George Soros and the liberals' fault. The reason why America's not enforcing its borders and illegal immigrants are being poured in and shipped in from other countries. I mean, Trump really hasn't done much to enforce our immigration laws. But then again, I guess the Democrats and the liberals have been fighting him at every turn. That's what MAGA wants me to believe. So maybe it's that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Mexico and Texas. They are part of criminal MS-13 gangs. They are part of La Raza, which has the goal of taking back parts of Mexico that were once Mexico and yet are now the United States of America. Where I live in Texas was once a part of Mexico, for example. La Raza wants it back. And they are now taking advantage of Democrats and liberals and their false compassion and their desire to win elections to flood the United States with foreign nationals whose goal is to occupy, invade, and overthrow the United States of America. Again, the media is complicit in this process. Now, at the same time, we have Maxine Waters. She is just one of many lawmakers who is openly eliciting mass violence or aggressive shouting down, I should say, of conservatives and Trump supporters. She said that God is on her side somehow and that people on the left should scream and shout down and kick conservatives out of restaurants and gas stations and malls and movie theaters and whatever else she said. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, her statement. She is fomenting an escalation of violence in America.
What does this have to... Okay, Mike Adams is the health ranger, okay? What the hell does this have to do about health? And second to that, what does this have to do with Rex 84, which Alex Jones opened with? I'm still waiting to get this. He has wasted my time giving... He could have summed it up in literally 2 sentences. Liberals are bad. We need to enforce our immigration laws. Literally, that's all it took. That's literally... I mean, I summed it up. When are we going to get to the actual reasons?
That is very likely to lead to, if not civil war, definitely bloodshed and shootings. Maxine Waters, in my opinion, should be arrested right now for her role in eliciting violence in America. Maxine Waters should know better. She's African American. She should know that the history of black people in America was that they were kicked out of restaurants because of who they were, because they were black. Now Maxine Waters thinks that liberals should kick conservatives out of restaurants because of who they are, because of their belief system. Maxine Waters is a disgrace to this country.
All right, I got to skip a little bit forward just to see if he starts mentioning Rex 84.
It's being carried out by none other than, this was masterminded by Barack Hussein Obama, working hand in hand with globalists who are attempting to overthrow the United States of America in conjunction with deep state swamp creatures who still persist inside the DOJ.
So we got deep state swamp creatures, Barack Obama, globalists, liberals. He hasn't mentioned George Soros yet, but it's probably freaking coming. All right. So we got all 5 boogeymen right there. Now we need Bill Gates, and we need who else? Who else in the chat? What other list? What other list of boogeymen do we have here? It used to be Maurice Strong back in the day, but that's like back in 2000s. Okay, so ain't Maurice Strong. So who else? Who else do we have? Who else are the enemies, the scapegoats that InfoWars mentions? Because I'm curious. I'm really curious. Because, I mean, he just named 4. I mean, one day I should make a bingo card, okay? and just put, the boogeyman of InfoWars, and just see how long it takes for me to get bingo on just any day. Just any day, how long it's going to take to me to get bingo. Because it's the same scapegoats, the same people that you're told ad nauseum to fear. And look, I am not apologizing for any of them, all right? I have issues with globalist order. I have issues with George Soros. I have issues with, you didn't mention the Clintons. I have issues with Obama. I have issues with all of them. But the thing is Big D said Schiff, Adam Schiff. Jesse Spot says media matters. Yeah. It's like they got a list. Okay, so I talked about this person today. So now I'm going to talk about this person. Even if it's not even relative to the topic at hand they're discussing. And it goes on and on and on and on. Yeah, Jesse, it's like bumpers on a bowling alley. Yeah. It's easy.
The State Department and the FBI, working in conjunction with Hillary Clinton, one of the most dangerous,
Hillary Clinton,
fraudulent criminals
bingo,
in the history of American politics. They are hoping to sow massive violence in the United States so that they can then call for United Nations peacekeepers.
United Nations, that's another one.
The goal
Check.
is to bring in the UN peacekeepers, have Obama in a very high-powered position or a highly influential position at the UN or leading the UN invasion of America, going door to door, confiscating the guns of any last remaining patriots or Trump supporters or anyone who believes in the Constitution. At the same time, they plan to flood the borders with an invading, occupying enemy force of foreign nationals.
But this is okay. This is after Trump been elected. Obama gone, you guys. Obama is gone, and Trump is president of these United States of America. And he's trying to rehash Rex 84, but this time it's the globalists and what they were going to do, and Obama and Clinton and the UN. Oh, Oliver North, he was a great American, as Sean Hannity used to say, and he didn't do anything wrong. And Ronald Wilson Reagan and George H.W. Bush, they were good, wholesome Christian men. Give me a break.
At the same time, they plan massive uprisings of deranged radical leftists in the cities, in 25 plus cities across America. They plan to go door to door.
Are these what these sealed indictments are for? Huh? What the sealed indictments turn into? Because my belief is the sealed indictments exist, which they likely don't. All right? But let's say that they do. Those sealed indictments are for researchers on YouTube like me and Jesse and Greg McCarran from The Antidote. I can go list on Mark from Housatonic, Patriots and stuff like that. Lee, my co-hosts, people I've had on this channel like Suzanne and everything. That's who these sealed indictments are for. They're not look, the sealed indictment thing isn't real. Okay, I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying if it is, that's who it would be for. But Mike Adams wants to be like, well, Obama was he's gonna round us all up. Just like every president before him, always stoking the fear and rewriting Rex 84 as liberal propaganda. I'm going to play Alex Jones on what he says in the beginning again for you people to realize. Alex Jones says more in 10 minutes about this than Mike Adams has done in 20 minutes, wasting my time and anybody's time who's listening to him.
Executing Trump supporters. This is a repeat of the Cultural Revolution that led to Communist China. It's history repeating itself. The plan is in place. It is...
Oh, there's China. Our Communist China. Is that bingo? Who got bingo yet? Which one?
An insidious plan. It involves the media, which I call the journo terrorists of America, who many of whom should also be...
Does that include Fox News? Drudge Report? Fox News had on interviewing with Chris Wallace, Bill Gates, and no pressure was put on him. It is what it is. No pressure was put on him. No one cared. No one, and Jesse and I discussed this. No one wrote to Fox News in outrage that they had the propagandist Bill Gates on. No one on QAnon Twitter land and MAGA hat wearing people became an uproar. How dare Fox News do such a thing? No one cared. No one batted an eye. The massive spiritual apathy that covers the whole United States, and people don't care unless they don't even care if it directly affects them. Jesse, you must have talked about him in the stream. I didn't watch the beginning of it today, but Jesse on his channel covered it. It's sickening. It all the Q movement did was disarm half of the truthers and just make them grab the popcorn and enjoy the show and trust the plan. I mean, at least back in the day, people used to call up the White House. Now, granted, majority of those call up your White House and complain about certain bill was put forth by Council for National Policy members like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, okay? But still, nonetheless, at least people organized in some fashion or degree if some of it wasn't controlled and actually cared. But people don't anymore. And so that's why people are being pushed this propaganda. Look, I know InfoWars is talking about COVID now, all right? But you could turn them on any given day last year, and most of the time you're going to get the same left-right paradigm propaganda that you're getting now. Now, occasionally, a broken clock is right twice daily, and Alex Jones, it's not what he tells you most of the time. It's what Alex Jones does not tell you, whether on purpose or not, okay? Or who he chooses to focus and scapegoat on, without telling people who truly are behind things. That's my issue with Alex. I think Mike is more nefarious than Alex in that regard. I guess some people can argue with me in the chat and disagree. I think Mike Adams and a lot of the narratives that he pushes outside of the health realm, a lot of it is extremely nefarious. And it's a problem.
Arrested and indicted for treason and for inciting violence in this country and for crimes against the United States of America. It involves the media. It involves radical left-wing zombies, you got to call them, these deranged lunatic left.
Yeah, exactly, Jesse. Mike is basically advocating Trump to send National Guard in to take over leftist strongholds. Yeah, Michael Savage, who's of Jewish descent, Michael Weiner, said the same thing, that leftists and people on Twitter that troll him should be routed up and put into camps. Yeah, you heard me right. A person of Jewish descent said that. So I'm going to play a little bit of Alex Jones in a minute. I'm going to give Mike Adams a little bit more time to maybe finally gives a rationale of why Rex 84 camps are a good thing, because Trump's in power. Because supposedly Alex Jones said he changed his complete paradigm and everything he believed in about Rex 84 and FEMA camps because Mike Adams had mind-blowing information on the reason why our knowledge of Rex 84 camps previously were wrong.
It involves Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, who are run by these deranged left-wing lunatics to silence any opposition. It involves a United Nations plan to invade the United States of America, to confiscate guns, take away the Second Amendment, while the tech giants take away your First Amendment, and then to exterminate all conservatives, libertarians, pro-liberty, pro-Trump, pro-Constitution individuals in America. This is the plan. The plan is to exterminate you if you believe in the Constitution. Think about the pattern. Right now, we know that the mask has...
Look at that date. First published June 26, 2018. Trump has well been president of the United States of America. He's in power. I know the president's a figurehead, but I'm just, arguing against Mike Adams here. Trump is in power. How are the liberals going to round everyone up and put him in the camps? Obama's not president anymore, Mike. He hasn't been for years.
Come off the left. They used to pretend like they wanted common sense gun control. They wanted reasonable limits on free speech. They wanted to get along. They wanted to respect democracy. They said it's impossible to steal the election when they thought Hillary was going to win. And then when she lost, they said, oh my God, the Russians stole the election. I mean, these people are pathetic, right? They're pathetic and they're dangerous. They believe that you, if you're a conservative or a Christian or a Trump supporter, they believe that you not only do not have a right to speak, you do not have a right to eat at a public restaurant, they believe that you do not have the right to ride a bus.
Okay, a couple of questions, Mike. A couple of questions for you there, bud. All right. I know a few people have been harassed, and some of those may be plants or actors or whatever. Okay, I understand that. But my question to you is, and some people were genuinely harassed too by, the left-right paradigm has been, fires have been stoked. Okay. But my question to Mike is, so where are these liberals that were just, spitting in Trump supporters' faces while they were sitting down eating with their family wearing their MAGA hats or their MAGA t-shirts? How, it just happened. Some of it was staged, some of it was genuine. It happened, yeah. But you didn't see thousands and thousands and thousands of new videos on Twitter of liberals just, spitting on Trump supporters and telling them to get the heck out of the restaurants. All right? You're just, you're fomenting fear.
To engage in commerce, because Visa and MasterCard are banning the e-commerce accounts of companies that are Trump supporters, such as Freestarter, for example. Not only do they believe all those things, that you don't have a right to speak, you don't have a right to engage in commerce, you don't have a right to upload videos to YouTube, you don't have a right...
Not every liberal believes that, Mike. Not every liberal is against free speech. Now, many social justice warriors would agree that you need to be deplatformed. If someone says something that they don't necessarily like, they're ruled on emotion. But not every liberal. Many liberals are for free speech.
Right to eat at a restaurant, to ride a bus, anything. More importantly, they believe that you do not have the right to exist. And they want to exterminate you. And they are on the verge of trying to do so.
Well, it's been 2 years since this grand prophecy, Mike Adams. And majority of us, if not all of us, are still here. We haven't been exterminated by any liberals roaming the streets. See if he goes a little bit further. See if he's still going on.
Constitution, we believe in a civil society. But when the left begins the shooting, when they start the mass execution attempt, then I implore you, we the people must respond with dedicated, deliberate force to defend our war, the information war, roll on the mats with a mixed martial arts expert, defend our borders, and we defend our nation, and we defend our...
So he goes on to talk about if the liberals start, marching in the streets to kill us all, be prepared. Have your food, have your guns, take some martial arts classes. He probably said Krav Maga. Civil War, promoting fear and violence. Still haven't figured out why we were wrong about Rex 84. I still hasn't gotten there yet.
President. And if you are called into a situation, do not go vigilante. Strong law enforcement in our cities. We need deputies. Family, your life, if necessary, your community. Support local law enforcement. Support law and order. Because that's what the left hates. The left despises. In the future of our democracy. In essence, I believe many of them against their political enemies. I'm
going to skip it through just to see if he mentions Rex 84.
I know that if we chose to defend our nation...
So far, I haven't heard it. It's just been a liberal plot to round us up and put us in camps, but...
Defend our president.
Somehow, Trump's president...
Fleshed out. I encourage you to get a channel there and post your own video. The overthrow of this country. You need to own troops. You'll be working perhaps alongside them. Take it. I'd clean out the traitors. It's time to nation and a threat to civil society. traitorous. I'm not talking about the people of California. I'm talking about the bureaucrats, the Jerry Browns. Mike Adams. You can see more of my...
All right, that's wasting my time. Now let's go to when Alex Jones was talking about at the beginning of the broadcast, okay?
It's Monday, the 25th day of June, 2018. I don't claim to have all the answers here tonight, but I do want you to know, and I do want you to understand that I want freedom in America and I want freedom worldwide. Now, I came back in this evening, even though I was having dinner with my children a couple hours ago, and got some crew in here to do this emergency broadcast because I have been really nervous and upset about all the information I've been seeing, and I've been studying it and knowing that what was really happening was hiding in plain view, but I wasn't computing it. Well, now I have the total breakdown of what's really going on. It all clicked about 2 hours ago. And I'm going to go over the news articles, all of it for you right now. Now, I could easily get caught in the minutia of every point. Like, they're showing kids that were kept with their parents and saying they weren't. And they're showing other, fake videos. And mainstream media is calling for civil war. And the Democrats are calling for killing Republicans and shooting them inside restaurants. And we've covered that. But then I was sitting there tonight doing research at dinner with my family. And I thought, wait a minute, it's Rex 84. But we always thought, because the liberal media told us, those of us that were informed, it was only something intelligentsia were involved in.
So Alex Jones starts speaking about Rex 84 within the first minute and 30 seconds. So he starts getting to it. And the very interesting thing about that is Mike Adams never mentioned it once. So he's going to be talking about, well, I was listening to Mike Adams, and I talked to Mike Adams, and, that's where I got this revelation from. Well, Mike Adams didn't say nothing. So what revelation?
That there was a governmental plan in the 80s. If the Democrats tried to collapse the southern border and bring in a bunch of communist insurgents, a real Red Dawn scenario, that then they would try to bring in families to pull on the heartstrings of Americans if Latin America collapsed. Their population was half of what it was then, 30 years ago, and that they would use Rex 84 to house them and ship them back. And then it hit me. Trump has announced the military. Then they would try to bring in families to pull on the heart. A government tried to.
So globalresearch.ca, which everybody loves globalresearch.ca. Some people like it, some people don't. By Alan L. Rowland, 2014, Salon Blog, 2006. He references the Rex 84 plan, at least in this article Rowland does. But that's not what Rex 84 is. You can go back and read it and listen to what little testimony we have from Oliver North. The Rex 84 readiness exercise for 1984 was to right there.
Tried to collapse
the plan is called Rex 84. Short of the readiness exercise, Rex 84, an undisclosed number of concentration camps were set in operation throughout the United States for internment of dissidents and others potentially harmful to the state. And they go on to say it was originally for the aliens crossing the border. But Jones doesn't... He goes on this part and leaves this part completely out of it.
A bunch of communist insurgents, a real Red Dawn scenario, that then they would try to bring in families to pull on the heartstrings of Americans if Latin America collapsed. Their population was half of what it was then, 30 years ago, and that they would use Rex 84 to house them and ship them back. And then it hit me. Trump has announced the military bases are going to hold these people because the influx of migrants is already up 300+% since he got in. And it's going to be 1,000% when they're done. The UN runs it, all of it. Latin America's collapsing. So they're ramping up all these people saying, if you stop any of them, you're a terrorist, you're Hitler, you're whatever. And it's all an admitted plan that we knew the Democrats and the communists and the globalists were planning in the 80s. And so President Reagan at the time developed Operation Rex 84.
No, he didn't. He was told by his advisors, one of them being Oliver North. Ronald Reagan didn't come up with this on his own. The Council for National Policy, Oliver North, among others, came up with the frame for Rex 84. It wasn't Ronnie Reagan. Reagan was sitting up in the Oval Office and he was like, you know what? The damn communists are going to destabilize Latin America, so I got to put up these camps, which is Jones's narrative, so that I can, put them in the camps and then send them back, kind of like how it's done in Australia. No. This is bull, Jones. You're rewriting history. Something that you have stood firm on for the majority of your career. And now you're going to say it's all globalist, leftist, liberal propaganda?
And so I'm like, oh, look at this horrible plan for emergency centers at military bases to put Americans in FEMA camps. And I bought the whole leftist thing in college, everywhere. They taught this about the camps, the plan for camps. But the plan in the actual document that Congress released was just taking care of families and then shipping them back from where they came from.
That's not true. That's not its only reason, Jones. You're lying. And it's not only taught in liberal colleges. You're lying.
They weren't political refugees. And so here I am, 23 years later, thinking I was a conservative, thinking I knew what was going on, but buying the leftist propaganda that there were these FEMA camps everywhere.
I was a conservative, thought I was a conservative, and bought into liberalist propaganda. I used to hate the Bushes. I used to hate Reagan. But you know what? Now since I backed Trump, now since the CMP's activated me, yeah, now I love them all. Why not? In for a penny, in for a pound. Ronald Wilson Reagan was the greatest president that has ever in the history of the world, next to Trump. That's where you at, Jones. That's where you at.
Now there are FEMA camps, and Clinton admitted it, for conservatives and libertarians and Christians. They want a civil war.
Yeah, Clinton. Not Rex. Not Oliver North. Not all the investigative hearings. Not the reporters done by investigative journalists and reporters. No. It was Clinton to put us in. Rewriting history yet again, Jones.
War. They want to bring in the massive illegals, trigger the Civil War, have a total societal breakdown, and then use the Rex 84 plan that Reagan set up via FEMA to control everybody. That's been in the news. So that's why this is so sophisticated. And that's why this is so incredibly dangerous, is that you have all these left-wing sites saying, we're going to shoot. We played the video in an earlier report. We're going to shoot Republicans when they're at restaurants. We're not just going to boo them out of there. And you've got Brennan and all these deep state people like Clapper and the rest of them saying this is all happening. So I was sitting back looking at the calls for civil war and looking at USA Today and the New York Times admitting we're in a civil war. When I saw the globalists setting it up, saying I was a kook to cover it, now they suddenly admit it in late June 2018 as they brand all Trump supporters are Nazis and deserve to die. Donnie Deutsch, Maxine Waters. And so I was looking at all this and their battle plan. I was so frustrated today during the 4-hour radio show that I host 11 to 3. And then I watched tonight this Mike Adams video, the Health Ranger, where he's on fire. It's 40 minutes long. I'm about to air it. You've got to watch this. And I went, oh my God. He didn't even say it, but it was like, it's Rex 84. They told Reagan that the Big Bang.
What? Well, all right. I've watched that video of Mike Adams. I played some of it here. Where did Mike Adams go into extreme depth that Alex Jones just did on his reversal on Rex 84? Because to me that video was just Mike Adams blaming the liberals for the ills of the world.
Banks, the Ford Foundation that runs it, this has all been declassified. We're planning to brainwash Latin Americans, have the universities work with them, have the left. The weathermen are on video and congressional testimony. They had this whole plan for a...
Wow. Okay, good find, Jesse. Jesse brought it up. Yeah. It's a little bit further, though.
Red Dawn
Because this happened in April the 13th, 2018, and this video was June. But yeah, you're still right, though. About 2 months back was when the U.S. Supposedly when the U.S. Strikes Syria over suspected chemical weapons attacks. There's a possibility that Alex Jones was deflecting from that at that time, doubling down on Trump after that night he cursed Trump.
Area. And I've even talked to the folks that were approaching Red Dawn and made that film with Reagan to counter the idea because they were so scared. We didn't know that 30 years later they would reboot the same plan again and try it, but this time they believe they have the demographics to do it. And I'll leave it at that, but I've talked to folks involved in the production of Red Dawn. And the fact they were approached just to try to stop this. But they had no chance in 1984 to do this. They have no chance today, but they're crazy enough to do it. And so they have announced everywhere.
Yeah, Operation Garden Plot, which was before Rex 84. Garden Plot was for how the United States Army National Guard planned to respond to major domestic civil disturbances. And then Operation Garden Plot turned into Rex 84. So, like, he's showing, like, all the articles and everything, information that we have to prove that Rex 84 was nefarious by the Council for National Policy and Oliver North. He's showing the documents, but he's saying that's a lie, and what I'm saying is true. I mean, if that's not double speak and double fire, I don't know what is.
The plan to collapse the U.S. border, and then I wondered why it was on PBS, why it was on CNN, why I heard about FEMA camp plans, and oh my God, they were going to put people in camps, just like they say, oh, these kids are in camps now, oh, these kids.
You mean because it was the FEMA camp stuff, Rex 84 was on the news, and Fox News didn't exist at that time back in the late 80s, early 90s, Jones? Maybe that's why?
They're getting raped. Oh, these kids are in cages, and then it's like homemade cage videos and fake videos of little kids that were with their parents and were never. That's the plan, was to bring down the U.S. with a Central and South American invasion after the globalists brought down Mexico, which Obama did, and then use that to cause a civil war in the U.S. and then cause a civil emergency, just like they've done with 10 million military-aged men in Europe who are Islamic.
Wait, am I listening? Wait, am I listening to Jan Irvin's channel? Did Jan Irvin just speak? Was that Jan? Was Jan on InfoWars? Oh, maybe not. I'm sorry. Maybe that was Sanchez.
And then I saw it. And Trump and patriots in our own government have seen this and have gotten ready. But yes, they are now implementing Rex 84, which if you read even the admissions in Reuters and everywhere else, it's like military preparedness went in this to flood us with 800 million people potentially. And you totally see it. You're like, oh my God, the left reported on Reagan being told of this plan and Oliver North being told of this plan and all of this stuff going on. And then they just simply tried to.
Oliver North was a good American, you guys. He was told of the destabilization of Latin America by the globalists. And he was just a good, honest American that just sold just a teeny bit of blow. Trafficked just a teeny bit of blow. Trafficked, the children with Franklin, paid by contrabands. Trafficked arms brokered by Israel to Iran, who are now our enemies, but at that time were not our enemies and enemies of Israel. It's all just, it's bull crap.
Create some plan to stop it, and now they're doing it again. So let's air so many promo pieces we've had. Let's air that promo piece that you were just showing, and then I want to air Mike Adams laying all this out, but this is it. And it doesn't mean the Rex 84 plan to resist it is good either. It just means we are in that place. the plan that the weathermen talked about with the Chi-Coms in Hollywood and everybody that they dreamed of 30 years ago, they now believe they're ready to launch. And that's why every TV show and every movie is anti-American, every program is anti-human, it's all anti-Christian, because this is it.
So we got to head them off. We got to put them in camps first, right, Jones? That's right. Round up them your liberal family members and friends. Got to round them up and put them in camps first, because if we don't do it first, they're going to do it to us when they get back in power.
So let's air that Red Dawn piece, and then Mike Adams.
All right, I can't play the Red Dawn piece because I'm going to get dinged. All right, everybody. That's it for this evening. I'll have more on Mike Adams. I'll have a third part. That one I just wanted to do with his own words. To show how divisive and how much a slave he is to the left-right paradigm. And show how Alex Jones claims that he got that information about Rex 84, the mind-blowing information that changed his mind, from Mike Adams' presentation. And then it turns out to be a bunch of bullcrap and nothing. So, yeah. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. There will be more videos on this Mike Adams string, for sure. Take care, everybody. God bless you. Till next time, always read the documents. Take care.